When I said no to loaning Derek's brother money, his whole family called a vote to override me. With smug grins, they said, "Majority rules." Derek just stood there and watched. I kept my cool, smiled, and said, "Great, then let's vote on something new." Seconds later, I pulled a folded piece of paper from my bag, and the room descended into chaos. This was just last year. The memory still stings. Still sharp, like it happened yesterday. I was married for 10 years. Years. Thought I understood what loyalty meant. I believed marriage meant being teammates. I thought family wasn't about blood. It was about who stayed when life got ugly. I was so wrong. Let me back up a little. I live in a quiet little town upstate New Jersey. Derek's family is big, old school, and all about tradition. Picture this. Every Sunday dinner at his mom's, overflowing with expectations, opinions, and rules that were never said aloud, but always enforced. I didn't come from that kind of family, but I tried. I really did. I showed up, brought a casserole, smiled through gritted teeth, and tried to fit in. His family never really welcomed me. They were courteous, but there was always this subtle wall, like I was a permanent guest at their table, never truly one of them. But I loved Derek. I truly believed that would be enough. Then came Ethan, Derek's younger brother, dragging chaos behind him. Ethan is the kind of guy who always has a scheme and always ends up broke. Dropshipping, crypto advice, flipping luxury cars. He's been through the whole circus and failed every act. The family? They always shrugged it off. "He's just trying to find his way," they'd say. "He's got big dreams." But this time, Ethan took out a massive personal loan and got his parents to co-sign. Big surprise. He defaulted. And now the bank was circling like vultures. I guess they figured I'd be the fallback plan. I work as an accountant at a famous company, smart with money. Derek and I don't have kids, and I've been carefully building our savings for years. So one day, of course, Ethan turns up with a tragic little monologue. $20,000, just for a few months, he promises. I said no, calmly, respectfully. I explained we had house repairs going on, and that with his history, I wasn't comfortable handing over that kind of cash. He didn't push, just nodded, mumbled something about understanding, and walked out. For a brief second, I almost pitied him. Until 3 days later, when I got summoned to a family meeting. It was held at Derek's parents' place. I walked in, and every sibling, spouse, and parent was there. Everyone except Ethan. Oddly enough, he was late. They all wore those too sweet smiles that make your stomach twist. Then came the show. Derek's dad said they'd been discussing as a family and were concerned about Ethan. They knew I had the money, and since Ethan's mess affected the whole family, they thought it should be a democratic decision. That's when they dropped it. We're calling a family vote. A family vote. Like this was some boardroom hostile takeover. I turned to Derek, expecting him to shut this circus down. He didn't. He just looked tired, maybe afraid. I couldn't tell anymore. I asked, flatly, "You're actually serious?" His mom replied, "Yes, majority rules. That's the fairest way." As if this were a town hall vote, not my actual life. I said nothing, and then they voted. Every hand raised. Yes, Derek and I should fund Ethan's disaster. Then they stared at me, like the ritual had power over me. I nodded and said, "All right, let's vote on something else now." Confused silence followed. I kept my voice calm. Steady, I reached into my bag and pulled out a manila folder. I slid it across the table to Derek. He looked bewildered. His father asked, "What's this?" I replied, "It's a copy of the deed to our house, fully paid off, only my name is on it." Silence deepened. Then I pulled out a second document. "And this," This is a notarized amendment to our prenup. I had it drawn up last month. Since everyone's so fond of votes, I figured I'd separate my finances just as democratically, Derek. You'll find a copy on your nightstand. Been there since last week. His mom's face twisted like she'd bit into a lemon. His sister's mouth fell open. His dad turned beet red. I locked eyes with Derek. Should we take another vote? This time, on whether we stay married? He said nothing. The silence was absolute. That's when Ethan strolled in, and that's when things truly imploded. Ethan sauntered in like he hadn't just nuked my entire marriage. He flashed that smug half-smile, like everyone owed him something. "Sorry I'm late," he said, collapsing into the last chair like this was brunch. He scanned the room, clocked the envelope, saw the expressions. What did I miss? He grinned. Nobody responded. His mom coughed lightly. "We were discussing solutions," she said. I turned to Ethan. I said no. He tilted his head, puzzled. "Yeah, and we voted," he shrugged. I let a faint smile curl my lips. "Exactly. And I brought my ballot. In legal ink." That wiped the smirk clean off his face. I saw his brain scrambling, realizing the cavalry wasn't coming. And then it clicked. He didn't even know about the prenup. He didn't realize I wasn't bluffing. He turned to Derek. "Bro, seriously, what the hell?" Derek remained seated, completely silent. Ethan lost it. He shot to his feet. "You're really letting her humiliate us like this? Just sitting there?" Us, one word, cut deep. That single word splintered something inside me, like I'd stopped being a human being and become an intruder. Derek parted his lips, and still said nothing. That's when Derek's father slammed his hand on the table. "This isn't how a family functions," he roared. "You don't drag lawyers into blood ties. You don't divide family like this. We're not outsiders." I leaned in. "You're the ones who turned this into a business deal. When you held a vote like it was a board meeting, you reduced me to a wallet. I simply responded accordingly." His face flushed an ugly purple. That's when the second bomb dropped. Derek's sister, Jenna, the quiet one, finally spoke. She said, "You know what? I'm done pretending everything's okay." Everyone looked at her. "I gave Ethan 10 grand last year. He never paid it back. I stayed quiet because I didn't want drama, but seeing you gang up on her like this, I'm done keeping my mouth shut." The room went deathly quiet. Ethan blinked, stunned. "What are you even talking about?" Jenna let out a bitter, hollow laugh. "You swore you'd repay me in 6 months, said it was for flipping a Tesla. As soon as I wired the money, you vanished." Ethan turned to his mother. "She's making that up." But then the air changed. Like a curtain finally pulled back. That's when Kevin, Derek's youngest brother, quietly spoke up. "I thought it was just me," he murmured. "Gave him 5 grand on my credit card, said it was for a course. That was 2 years back." Then it was like a dam burst. One after another, voices came out of the silence. A cousin, an uncle. Even Derek's mother looked pale, stunned. Turned out Ethan had been draining everyone, little by little. Every time it was a promise, every time it was a lie. I just sat quietly, watching the whole facade collapse. Ethan raised his voice, trying to drown them out. "This is all fake. You're just trying to make me the villain." I leaned back, calm. "You didn't need our help to look bad." He turned desperately to Derek. "Come on, man, say something." Derek finally met my eyes, and all he asked was, "When did you change the prenup?" That was it. No. "I'm sorry." No. "Let's talk." Not even a, "You were right." Just that one cold, selfish question. I stared at him, long and hard. My throat tightened, not from grief, but sheer fatigue. 6 weeks ago, I said quietly, right after Ethan's latest big idea. His mother started to cry. His father collapsed into his chair like he'd aged a decade. Ethan stormed out, furious and defeated. No one moved. I picked up my purse. Derek started to stand, ready to chase after me. I raised my hand. Don't. And then, I walked out. But that wasn't the end of it. That same night, Jenna messaged me. She said she needed to talk. What she revealed flipped everything I thought I knew about Derek's family and about my marriage. Let me know if you want to hear the next part. Trust me, things only get darker from here. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, searching for any emotion, anger, grief, clarity. Nothing came, only silence that rang in my skull. Around 2 a.m., I finally opened Jenna's message. All she said was, "Can we talk?" There's more I didn't say. You deserve the truth. We met the next day at a small cafe. Neutral ground. She arrived looking tense, but her eyes had this strange steadiness. She didn't waste a second. "I'm not sure how to put this." She hesitated, trying not to make things worse. "I've been waiting for someone to finally see through Ethan, and maybe Derek too." That last part hit me like a punch. I asked what she meant. She took a long breath. "Ethan's been a leech for years, but Derek, he wasn't just watching." I didn't understand. Then she dropped something that made my stomach churn. "Remember that crypto scheme Ethan got burned on last year?" I nodded slowly. She said, "Derek was part of it. They ran it together. That's where most of the debt came from." I stared at her, speechless. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through screenshots, texts, emails, and payment records. Derek didn't just know about Ethan's messes. He was involved, actively helping, hiding the truth. He even funneled money back and forth between their accounts. The room spun, and I felt like I was floating outside of myself. "He asked me to keep quiet," Jenna said softly. "Said it would only make things worse. He swore he'd fix it." I believed him. But now I realize he was just covering himself. I whispered, "That's where our savings went." She met my eyes but said nothing. She didn't need to. Suddenly, a memory flashed through my mind. 3 months ago, I'd seen a massive withdrawal from one of our accounts. Derek said it was for urgent home repairs. He'd even shown me an invoice, clearly fake now that I thought about it, and I believed him. My stomach churned. Jenna gently placed her hand over mine. "You weren't imagining things. You never were." I nodded slowly, swallowing hard. "Why now?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Because there's more." I braced for impact. "Derek and Ethan approached your parents last month, tried to borrow money." My eyes widened. "Excuse me?" "They told your parents you were planning to invest in Ethan's new business, said it was a sure thing, and that you wanted them in early. Your mom called me last night. After you left, she was confused and scared. That's when it hit me. They weren't just using you. They were trying to sell your name, your trust, your future." My breath caught in my throat. "They went behind me. Again. They used my name, used my reputation to manipulate my own family." I stood, restless, my mind racing. I needed a plan. Jenna reached out, stopping me. "I know you're furious, but don't react. Strategize. Stay ahead of them. I've got your back." "What do you mean?" I asked, eyes narrowing. She gave a weary smile. "Cutting. Precise. I've kept everything, receipts, texts, emails, transfers. You want to walk away clean? You'll need proof." That was the moment I came back to life. Something hardened inside me. No more games. Not this time. Not Derek. Not Ethan. No one. I met Jenna's eyes. Steady. "Send it all." And she did, without hesitation. By the week's end, I had enough to destroy them, on paper and in spirit. But it wasn't enough. Not yet, because every file opened another door. Turns out Derek was hiding something worse. something deeper than debt, something that explained his silence, why Ethan always had him cornered. A full week passed. Each day brought a new revelation, another money trail, another betrayal, another thread in their tangled web. I had Jenna's archive. I had my financials lined up. I ran a credit check. Derek had opened 2 credit cards using my name. He hadn't used them, just stashed, waiting to strike when the next opportunity hit. That final night, I hadn't meant for it to turn into a firestorm, but that's exactly what it became, and once it lit up, there was no stopping it. Derek's mom called for one more Sunday family dinner, same setting, same long dining table. Only this time, I accepted. I had one intention: gather every one of them under one roof. When we got there, it was all pretend smiles and stiff hugs, awkward grins, hollow chuckles. They thought it had all blown over. Derek sat next to me, playing the part of a loyal husband. He kept glancing at his phone, but forced a smile every time someone glanced his way. Ethan was missing. Late again, of course, figures. I waited until the meal was in full swing and everyone was settled. Then I stood up. "Time for another vote," I said, voice cool and sharp. The room froze. Derek gave me that clueless look. I calmly reached into my purse and laid out a small stack of papers. No theatrics, no shouting, just evidence. Placed slowly, deliberately. "This here is proof Derek and Ethan opened a joint account. It was opened 3 years ago. They moved nearly $80,000 through it, mostly from our savings." Derek's mom gasped slightly, starting to speak. I raised a hand. "This one here?" I tapped another document. A fake invoice. Derek handed this to me 3 months ago. Said it was for roof work, the contractor. Doesn't exist. A heavy silence filled the room. "And this," I said, lifting the last document, "is an email Derek sent to my parents using my name, offering them shares in Ethan's fake business. You used me, Derek." The blood drained from his face. No one said a word, so I kept speaking. "I thought Ethan was the con, but you—" I turned to Derek slowly. "You were just smarter about it. You didn't ask. I would have said no. So you maneuvered around me. Used me," his mother murmured. "No, that's not true." Jenna's voice rang out from the end of the table. "It is." She held up her phone. "I saved everything. Derek asked me to keep it quiet when he moved the money. Said he'd fix it before she ever found out." Derek finally stood up, red-faced and fuming. "What the hell do you want from me? I was trying to fix everything. Ethan was drowning. Okay? I didn't think." "Exactly. You never think," I snapped. "You lied. You covered. You defended him because he's got something on you. That's why you let me be humiliated again and again." He looked at me. And finally, he looked ashamed. I took a step closer. "What secret is Ethan holding over your head?" Silence again. He blinked slowly, his throat moving with a hard swallow. Then he muttered, "It's not what you think." "Then tell me, what is it?" Derek looked slowly around the table. His father, his sister, me. His eyes landed on Jenna last, and that's when he cracked. "Ethan took the fall for me. Years back, I was in legal trouble over false documentation at work. He said he'd protect me. I owed him." The room fell completely silent. Derek's father finally spoke, voice low, shaking with fury. "You didn't just betray us. You betrayed her. You used your wife to cover for a lie that should have cost you everything." Derek couldn't look at anyone. I panicked. "She's the one who handles our money. I was trying to clean it up before she found out." There it was again. The word that explained everything. Control. He didn't see me as a partner. I was the vault, the firewall, the obstacle, not his equal, just a means to an end. I didn't shout. I didn't shed a single tear. Calmly, I reached into my handbag, one last document, folded and clean. I laid it gently in front of him. He stared at the paper like it might bite, then slowly unfolded it. His whole face collapsed. It was the divorce papers, signed by me. No yelling, no spectacle, just finality. We voted, remember? I said softly, well then I vote to walk away. Then I turned my back and left. Not one person tried to stop me. Not even his mother said a word. That night I booked a hotel and didn't look back. A few hours later, Jenna messaged me. He's gone. Nobody said a word. The consequences came crashing down almost immediately. Derek called again and again, left tearful voicemails. He said he was lost, said he didn't understand how it fell apart, begged to start over. I let the silence speak for me. 2 days later, I filed the divorce papers officially. That prenup revision? It saved more than just money. It saved me from years of dragging out a miserable ending. Jenna kept helping me, maybe out of guilt or solidarity. She eventually sued Ethan for the money he owed her. Ethan disappeared for a while, deleted all his social media. Word is, he's hiding out in New Jersey under a fake business name. Derek moved back into his childhood room. Sunday dinners were never the same. I wish I could say I walked away without scars. But healing isn't that easy. There were nights I broke down, nights I doubted every memory. 10 years with someone who could lie with a straight face. That kind of betrayal stays with you. But now I sleep without dread. If I learned anything from this, when they say majority rules, you say, you don't need permission to escape a fire. You just need the courage to walk away. And that's exactly what I did.